You will not become a man until you've faced a spiritual crisis in which all roads lead to an outcome you don't like. Do I drive my car off the bridge into the water, or do I crash into the car in front of me? No positive outcome possible. Rock in a hard place. That was Jung's position, was you will not become a man or become a fully adult human being until you face that position, because it shows you your ego's preferences. All preferences are the ego. I want reality to be this way. I don't want it to be this way. And when your ego isn't going to get what it wants, regardless of the outcome, you come face to face with your ego. And when you come face to face with your ego, that's a doorway into what's beyond the ego. So situations like this, you could see as the gold wrapped in lead. When everything looks like lead, it just looks like dark, heavy negativity. Inside of that is the gold. But you have no fucking choice but to eat that lead first. There's no other way to get to it. There's no way. No matter which way you go, you're going through the shit. But if you do go through the shit, you get to what's on the other side, which is what you really want beyond what your ego wants. So again, the Jungian sort of paradigm is you will not become fully adult, fully, realized, whatever you want to call it, fully a man is the words that he used yesterday, until you've gone through a spiritual crisis where all roads lead to some shit your ego doesn't want. And there's nothing you can do about it. So situations like this are actually some of the most powerful situations you can experience. This is the sort of alchemical process, like you're in the healing arts, so to speak. This is the alchemy that healers perform, where they take a negative and they transform it. And tactically, what that looks like at first in level 1 is just like, okay, there's this situation. There doesn't appear to be really a whole lot that I can do. It feels like there's something that I can do, but I'm not clear on what that is. It doesn't, like, I feel kind of hopeless in a sense. Like, that's level 1, and coming face to face with that hopelessness of like, this is fucked. That's step 1. That's actually good. This is fucked is the realization that you have to have before you can move to step 2. Because within that realization of this is fucked implies this is a problem I can't solve, at least not from where I'm standing right now. Like, you can go up a level, you can develop a level, you can become something greater and maybe solve it. But at the level you're at, like this moment, place, and time, this is fucked. There's nothing I can do. And I don't like it. Not only is this fucked, but my energy towards it, my feelings about it, my thoughts about it are fucked too. I hate what's going on externally, and I don't like the way I'm reacting to it internally. It's just fucked every which way. That is a really powerful place to be. So beyond that point, it's like, okay, so it's fucked. Great. What do we do now? The first answer is you don't do anything. Actually, you don't do anything until it becomes clear what you should do. But until that point, if you're just guessing at stuff and you're moving out of the impulse of your fear of the situation being fucked, if you're moving out of an impulse of I want to fix this because it's uncomfortable, that doesn't lead to proper action. That usually makes a bigger mess of it. So it's be comfortable with the fact that everything is fucked, and that is what it is. And to whatever degree you can, start working not externally on the problem, but internally on your reactions to the problem. Once the reaction to the problem's cleaned up and you're centered with it and not polarized by the problem, you can see it clearly at that point because there's not this emotional trigger that's going off each time you engage with it. Now internally you're clear, so you can see the external situation clearly, and the answer, whenever it does appear, will be clear to you. You'll be able to see it, in other words, because you're not blinded by your emotion, your preference, all of that. So work internally first of all, and then wait. And it's another principle in frankly all spiritual traditions, but in Taoism and like Dzogchen, Mahamudra, is you get the information you need when you need it. You get the information you need when you need it. And our ego is what wants information before we need it, or wants a specific type of information that we don't need. But in truth, the information we need, we get when we need it, if we're clear enough and paying attention. So work again internally that you can be clear enough and you can pay attention with like subtle awareness and be open to receive it. And then it's obvious what to do and you don't need to worry about it. The problem becomes untied, or maybe it happens without you being involved at all. Maybe the answer is that actually Jackson specifically doesn't need to do anything at all, except for not add to the problem, and some other form of intervention from life in whatever configuration that may happen solves the problem for you. That happens a lot. There's an old Alan Watts quote, a talk actually, where he was saying, like, people call me lazy all the time. They ask, like, why aren't you doing anything? Why are you waiting around? And he just said, do you know how many good things happen by not doing anything? How many things become clear? How many things actually never needed to be done in the first place? Laziness is an art. It's not laziness in that way. It's patience. And that's the thing to cultivate. Coming to terms with, like, in situations where everything is fucked, that's a really good situation to experience in life, because in the younger years of our life, especially, we expect that every problem can be solved. That's not true. Part of the process of growing up is realizing there are problems we can't solve. And the way to solve those problems is by solving the mechanism internally, in other words, the ego, that labels those things as a problem. So we solve ourselves, not whatever the thing is in the world that we think is fucking with us. And then from there, full acceptance of the situation as it is, work internally on your reaction to the problem rather than on the external problem itself, until a solution, an action, a path forwards, whatever the case may be, appears. You get the information you need when you need it, and then you move with that. That's a higher level of problem solving. And it requires patience and clarity and centeredness, all of which you have in like enormous amounts. You have an enormous capacity, you specifically, for that. So we're talking about how the magnitude of how this feels is just so real. It has to be that way. The problems we're talking about, when like everything is fucked and there's nothing to do about it and I just got to eat shit, like that level, the stakes have to be real. Otherwise, there's no growth. And if it's like a make-believe problem, if it's something, if we were just scrimmaging instead of playing in game 7, then there's no stakes. You have to be, for the problem to be real, you have to actually be on the verge of bankruptcy, be on the verge of, somebody in your family having a breakdown and it like destroying something. You have to be on the verge of, your life falling apart, losing everything. It has to actually be real stakes where if you fuck it up, You will lose everything. A fight where you will get knocked out. You don't show up, you don't execute the strategy, you don't keep both eyes open, you will get knocked out. That's a real fight. But that's when you learn. If it's just sparring, if it's just, simulator, then where is the pressure for real growth? It's not there. The stakes have to be real. And it has to not only be real, it has to press up against the outer limits of your capacity for realness, of your capacity to handle problems. If it doesn't press up against the outer limits, then there's no growth. If it stays within the limits of like, okay, this is uncomfortable, but I can deal with it, whatever, then where's the growth? It doesn't exist. When you have to expand to meet the needs of the problem to solve it, then you get bigger. But again, if you can't expand, then the problem crushes you. That's what makes the stakes real. That's what actually fuels the growth. So it has to hurt. It has to fucking hurt. There has to be consequences. There has to be fear. All that shit has to be real, or the thing that you're really going for, which is a bigger version of yourself, a more capable version of yourself, a more experienced version of yourself. That version of you can't happen without it. I'm watching the show Lioness right now, and it's about a CIA team, like covert tactical team, that gets in these, has, undercover missions, and they get in these wild gunfights. And there was a scene in the episode I watched last night where they're in Iran and they're cornered from all sides. There's trucks and tanks full of Iran soldiers coming down the road at them. And they're a team of like 8 people, and they're fully surrounded. and after those trucks, they like gun down everybody in the one truck, and then 6 more trucks come. It's like, you're fucked. You're fucked. There's a whole army coming after you, and you have 8 people, and then one by one you see one of their people get shot in the stomach, and he's like crouched behind a rock. Then you see the other guy get shot in the leg. One girl straight up Conor McGregor's her leg like breaks, and she can't walk anymore. And the leader of the team, Zoe Saldana, fire. She's crouched behind this rock, looking up at the sky, just like about to burst into tears, because her family is back home, doesn't even know she went on this mission. She went without, like, her husband begged her not to go. She went anyway. And she's looking up at the sky like, I'm about to lose my family. My family's about to lose me. The, United States of America is about to take this gigantic L on the world stage. We shouldn't have, like, they told us not to even go on this mission in the first place, and I forced us to do it. Like, we are as fucked as it gets, bro. Like, name a situation that's worse. You're getting gunned down from all directions. And no matter what you do, like, shit's just going to go sideways. Like, what do you do? And of course, in the show, because it's a show, 2 fighter pilots come from out. 2 American fighter pilots come from out of nowhere, gun down all the Iranian soldiers, and they escape because it's a TV show. But in real life, how many soldiers have died being cornered by the enemy? Millions, right? The consequences are real. And as I'm thinking about this, I'm like, okay, that team, that covert ops special forces team, the CIA of 8 people, probably took down in the process like a few hundred of the Iran soldiers, a few hundred. So they were like 10x at least the ability of the soldiers that they were fighting against. There was just so many of the other team that, like, they couldn't overcome it. They're 10x. So how do you get to that level of ability in a life and death gunfight in another country? How do you get to the level of ability where you can take down 10 soldiers for every one they take down of you? Well, you get in a fuckload of gunfights. And in a gunfight, it's life or death. 2 options, right? Stakes are as real as it gets. So the stakes have to be real for you to get to that level. They have to be real. Otherwise, if you're just paintballing, bro, if you're just playing paintball, like no fucking, you shit your pants in a real gunfight. Enemies cornered you, you know, bullets flying from every direction. Like, nah, you're dead. You're dead. You got to get in gunfights to be good in gunfights. So this is the life gunfight where the stakes have to be real. Everything has to be fucked, and you have to find your way through it. And you have to become bigger in the process. That's how you get big. If anybody knows another way, tell me. But for now, like that's the way it goes. That's the way it goes. To be like a real veteran soldier, you got to go to war. So, yeah, hopefully that makes the point. It's just like, of course the stakes are real. Of course it hurts. Of course it's shitty. It's terrible. Yeah. How could it be any other way? Hey, it's Taylor. I hope you enjoyed today's clip. And if you did, here's where you can go deeper right now. So my favorite part of the work that I do here is a daily email newsletter that I write every morning on the topics of human development and human potential, life strategy, training the mind, productivity and life optimization, and generally speaking, the path to self-mastery. And so if you enjoy these talks, I know you're going to love the newsletter. And if you'd like to check it out, hit the link in the description or head over to taylorallen.me and you can sign up free of charge. I hope we see you there.